Hello and welcome to another how to play video from Meeples Corner. Today we are looking at rolling dice, a new dice dexterity game from Abacusspiele in Germany. And the interesting bit is that the box turns into the arena for the dice rolls, and I will explain more in the setup section of the video. And then afterwards I quickly explain the rules to you and play a few turns so you can see for yourself if the game would be something you would enjoy. Okay, we're going to the setup now and see you at the table. Okay, we are back at the table. That's all the components of the game. We have the box. The inside of the box is the arena. We have the ice with surrounding water. We have 4 dice for every player. This is the setup for a 2-player game where every player has 2 different colors. We have the scoring markers on the side of the box, and we have a ring to mark our remaining dice on the ice. And that's all we need for the setup. When you play it the first time, you need to stick the ice on the inside of the box. It goes with stickers that come with the game, so you can keep the ice on the board. And you take off the front bit of the box so you can roll dice from here. But that's all you need for the setup, so fairly quickly to play. Just open the box, take the dice out, and you're ready to go. I just get the camera a bit closer and then I can show you how the game works. Okay, now you can see the board a bit closer, because now I'm starting to roll the dice. On the first turn you take all 4 dice, you roll them and you try to keep them on the ice, because the dice falling off, they don't count. So I'm going to choose 1 because that's the dice that stays on the board and basically scores points for me. And important is, because of future dice rolls, it's always the rule higher dice or further down the ice. So the next dice roll I want to be able to either go closer to the front of the ice with the dice or roll a higher one, because if I'm not able to do this, I lose all my dice rolls and I lose 1 scoring round, which means that one of my dice would go on the ice here. I take everything off and I'm not taking part in the scoring round, so I want to avoid it. So with my first dice roll I have to make a decision. Do I want to take a higher value dice, which will be harder to match with the next dice roll, or do I take a lower one, which will be fairly easy to maybe roll higher, or I can take the 5 that's further down here, so with a bit of luck I should be able the next time to roll the dice that's further up here, so the 5 wouldn't count as a decision for the dice roll. Yeah, so I think that's what I'm going to do in this turn. I'm marking the 5, or leave the 5 here, and that's what scores me points. So for the next dice roll, I'm explaining the scoring next step. I just want to show you the next dice roll so you can see where the decisions are coming in place in this game. So now I'm rolling my remaining 3 in my next turn to make sure that I know which one was the dice on the table. I mark it with a ring, and now I'm rolling. Whoop! And now I have to make a choice. Like I said, the rules for choosing a dice is either further along, so these 2 would be eligible to stay on the board regardless of the value because they're further along the ice, or it needs to be a dice that's higher. In this case I can't choose the 4, I can't choose the 2 or the 1 if I just look at the value of the dice, because none of them is higher. If this one would be a 6, I could also choose the 6 because it's higher than the 5. So in this case, if you go back to the 2, I have to go with one of these 2, which for the next turn will make it a lot harder to go further down with the dice roll because it's already more than halfway down the ice. So I'm probably safer to go with the 2 because then I can, if I'm not lucky enough to roll further down the ice, I can at least hope to roll a higher dice roll. So that's what you do on your turn. Roll the dice and pick one to stay on the ice, because then after everybody has rolled his dice, you will score. I just make a quick 4 dice rolls for all the 4 colors, so we can explain the scoring. Okay, with this one, I want to score quite a high number of points. I'm going with this one here, which, like I said, with the setup, the fishing nets give me bonus points, in this case 5. So I'm going to risk that I'm not being able to roll a higher dice with the next roll, but maybe I'm lucky enough to roll further down. So I'm going with this one. Then I roll orange. Orange is going for the risky version as well, and chooses the 6 in the fishing net. And we have, there's one case where if I pick this dice I would lose points, so I'm definitely not going to go with this one. I want to stay close to what the green one scores, so I'm going to go with the 6 here as well. And then we have the last dice roll. So this one doesn't count at all because it goes in the eyes. This one is fairly up there, so I'm probably not going to be able to match it. So picking this one because it's already 4 doesn't make sense at all. I'm not taking the one here, I'm going with the 6 there. And that's the end of the round. And what comes next is basically the scoring. Okay, that's the scoring now at the end of the first dice roll. And we start the scoring with the color that's furthest down the ice. We go with orange. Orange scores points for its own dice, which is a 6, and it scores 6 points for the net, which make 12 points, and then it scores points for every dice that's below the color on the ice. So we score 6 points for green, 6 points for the blue one, and 6 for the purple one. So that's a total of 30 points, which is really good for orange. Then we have green is the next one. Green gets 6 and 5, 11 for its own position, and another 12 for these dice. So it's 23, which is not too bad. Then blue is 11 again because it's on the net, and another 6 for purple. So it makes it 12, 11, 17 for purple, and purple just scores 6 points because there's no dice below the purple one. They don't get any bonus points or anything. Luckily no minus points for the ice. So that's the end of the scoring. And with the next turn we would start, first player is the color that has scored the lowest points at the moment. So now we take the remaining 3, we mark the dice on the ice with the ring so we know what has been on there, and now we chuck our dice again and we have to make a decision. So this one goes off because it's in the water, and then we are quite lucky because we have 2 dice further down the ice. So we're free to pick any of them. We can't pick a higher one because they're 4 and 5, they're all lower than the purple 6. But because they're further down the ice, we are quite lucky and we can pick one of them. We can go for the high scoring 11 points with the net up here, or the safer 4, safer in a way, because there's more space to place dice in the next roll. This case I just explain 2 other things that could happen. If I roll the dice and my dice chucks another dice from the ice, what would happen? The player here, he has to keep the number that's there, but he can keep the dice and place it wherever he wants. So that's quite an advantage. So I can't be mean and chuck other dice from the ice. I can try to, because he's on the net here, I could try to roll the dice so he would get pushed off the net and lose the bonus points, but he has to stay on the ice, otherwise he can choose where he wants to go. So that's one special case. Then the other case would have been, let's say I roll like this, and they're all below the 6. I have no higher number, so I can't pick a dice based on the number, and they're all further down the ice, so I can't pick any of them as well. What happens in this case? I take the dice here, that was the one remaining from last turn, and he goes on the ice block over here. I take them off, and what this would mean for the scoring, I don't take part in the scoring at all, because for scoring I need to have a dice on here, but the other teams would still score the number on my dice. So it's a big problem for me, because I lose points and the others still score points. The only advantage is because I'm here, I would be the starting player the next turn, but that's not really such a big thing. So these are the two cases. I can't chuck other dices from the ice, and if I can't manage to place a dice on the ice, I go here and lose my scoring. Yeah. So that's basically what happens with the second dice roll. I roll, pick one, everybody does the same, and then we have the scoring at the end again, like I explained. And the game goes on until 75 points have been reached, and then we score. So with two players, one of the colors has to reach 75. Then I sum up the number of points of my two colors, and the team with the highest point score wins. With 3 or more players, it's even easier, because everybody just plays one color. First player reaches 75, ends the game. The turn gets played to an end, so it could be, if it's a close race, that another player matches his score or goes even higher, but it's quite likely that the first player reaching the 75 will win the game. Yeah, that's all. That's rolling dice. Quite a nice, exciting little dice game. I was surprised how big it is when I saw the box, and I didn't know much about the game. I was expecting something in the size of the Ganz schön clever games, but this one is something completely different, and it's a nice little dexterity game. And my family, who is a big fan of Kung Fu Zoo, loves this as well, so maybe this will replace it and we have something new to play. Okay, that's all for this week, and see you soon for our next video. Bye!